How exactly does a single baby monkey and, of all things, an IKEA plushie completely take over the internet and totally transform a quiet local zoo? I mean, it sounds like the plot of an animated movie, right? But this actually happened, and the real-world ripple effect it created is absolutely wild. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the phenomenon of Punchkun. We're going to unpack the heartwarming and honestly surprisingly complex true story behind this viral sensation. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The birth of Punchkun.
So to really understand this, we have to rewind to the scorching summer of 2023. Japan was going through a severe heat wave, and these extreme temperatures took a massive toll. Punchkun's mother was left completely exhausted, and sadly, she just couldn't care for him naturally. The zookeepers had to step in immediately to keep this little guy alive. This led to months of careful hand-rearing before he was finally introduced to the main macaque troop in January 2024, exploded into viral fame in February, and eventually celebrated his first birthday this past July.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Baby macaques have this intense biological instinct. They physically need to cling to their mothers to feel secure. Since he was being hand-reared, two of the younger zookeepers came up with a really brilliant workaround. They gave him an IKEA orangutan plushie. And wouldn't you know it, Punchkun immediately adopted it as his surrogate. He would hold on so tightly to its long, soft arms, it literally became his constant comforting companion.
Section 2. A global viral sensation. It is crazy how one single photo can completely shift a reality for a local community zoo. On February 5th, the zoo posted a picture on X. It showed little Punchkun, who, fun fact, was actually named after Monkey Punch, the creator of the anime Lupin the Third, bravely meeting the larger monkey troop for the very first time, clinging for dear life to his plushie. The zoo just added a simple hashtag telling him to hang in there. Well, the internet absolutely lost its mind. The world completely fell in love with his underdog story. We're talking global news coverage from giants like CNN and the BBC. And by the time his first birthday rolled around, the zoo was literally flooded with well over 1,000 handmade birthday cards from fans all across the globe. And to put that digital fame into perspective, just look at the real-world impact on foot traffic. In a single month, park attendance basically quadrupled. They went from 24,000 visitors in March 2023 to a staggering 90,000 visitors in March 2024. Section 3. The cost of fame. But yeah, this massive wave of adoration, it brought a really stressful reality check for the zoo, and more importantly, for the animals themselves. 90,000 visitors is no joke. Families were waiting an entire hour just to get through the front gates. The crowds were packing 2 to 3 rows deep around the Monkey Mountain, physically pressing against the barricades just to snap a photo. And the biggest issue? This unprecedented mob of humans deeply stressed out the macaques. The troop started experiencing unusual tension and even infighting, which is super rare for them. So the zoo had to hit the brakes. Animal welfare had to come first, right? To protect the animals' peace and let the zookeepers actually do their jobs, they urgently rolled out some strict crowd control. They pushed everyone back with temporary fencing, completely banned stepladders and overhead selfie sticks, which were severely startling the animals, and started heavily enforcing strict new viewing manners for the public. Section 4. Integrating into monkey society. Once the crowds were finally under control, Punchkun faced his biggest hurdle yet, learning how to actually be a monkey. And this is where human perception totally clashed with scientific reality. Fans online were watching him get scolded or lightly bumped by older monkeys and freaking out thinking he was being bullied. They felt so sad whenever he wasn't holding his plushie, but the reality? That friction is a completely healthy, absolutely necessary part of macaque socialization. He's just learning the rules of the troop and building his independence. And the best part? It's working. Punchkun is growing up. The zookeepers still make sure his beloved plushie is available in the back, just in case he wants it. But nowadays, he consistently chooses to leave it behind. He spends all his time wrestling, playing, and socializing. He's actively choosing his real family over his surrogate. In fact, he is growing up so fast and losing that distinct, fluffy baby fur that he blends right into the troop now. This actually led to a hilarious moment on national television. Section Chief Yasunaga was doing a live interview with a Nippon TV news crew, and he confidently pointed out Punchkun, only to realize later he had pointed out the entirely wrong monkey. He literally had to issue a formal apology. But hey, without the plushie, he really just looks like any other healthy young macaque now. Section 5. Beyond the Monkey Mountain. Now, taking a step back, Punchkun is really just one piece of this zoo's story. If we zoom out, they are doing some incredible, innovative stuff with their behavioral exhibits. They have this wild goat skywalk where goats just casually stroll on narrow wooden beams right over your head. There's a super engaging flowing otters water exhibit. And they recently launched the Monkey Room. This is a 10 million yen, entirely crowdfunded overhead corridor that lets you watch small primates moving naturally directly above you. It's a totally immersive way to view the animals.
Which really brings us to the core of all this. Section Chief Yasunaga put it perfectly when he said, "Following the rules so zookeepers can do their jobs is how you ultimately protect Punchkun." True animal welfare isn't just about giving an animal a plushie or a treat. It's about providing a respectful, peaceful environment where both the animals and the caretakers can actually thrive. So I'll leave you with this thought. As internet trends continue to drive massive real-world tourism, how can we make sure our intense fandom doesn't accidentally harm the very creatures we're so eager to support? Finding that balance between our digital screens and their physical reality is absolutely crucial. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.